समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Protests have broken out in the tribal hill districts of Manipur, and you will see those pictures. However, the story is much deeper than that. Story is much deeper. It's very serious. It's far-reaching, and I would say, while there are many questions and many uncertainties, this is the first step towards return to normalcy. What marks return to normalcy? That is restoration of politics. Restoration of politics and also restoration of the legislative process and an elected government. For a year now, Manipur has been under president's rule. It was on 9th of February last year, 2025, almost exactly a year back, when Biren Singh, the Chief Minister of Manipur, he resigned. He resigned under pressure. Everybody wanted his head. He had not been able to control the situation. Forget controlling. Situation had worsened by the day under him. He was seen as partisan, ineffectual, etc. So he resigned, and 4 days after his resignation, President's rule was imposed in Manipur. Then in the course of time, Ajay Bhalla was a former Union Home Secretary, also from a northeastern cadre, from Meghalaya cadre. He was sent to Manipur as governor. Now, if the central government and the governor had not conjured up somehow a new state government again, this would have been a setback, politically, constitutionally, and also to India's image. We will explain that to you as we go ahead. And also when Moushumi Das Gupta, our deputy editor, who's been following the Manipur story for a long time, also visiting the state often, she will join in with me to answer some of these key questions. However, let me tell you what's happened now. On Wednesday this week, just 2 days back, a new chief minister was sworn in. Now, Manipur, we've explained to you many times, is demographically very complex. And that complexity has now become more fraught because these communities or ethnicities have been fighting amongst themselves. We know what's been happening between Kukis and Meiteis. Their Nagas are sort of on the side watching. They also have weapons. Some of them also have weapons. That's a culture there. Manipur has strong gun culture, and also tribals on the two sides have a fair bit of freedom to move across the border. And Myanmar, as we know, particularly this region of Myanmar, is constantly under war, mostly under insurgent control. So gun running is very easy in that area. In that situation, the central government and the governor and the MLAs, they've come together and they formed a new government. This new government has been formed again under a Meitei chief minister. So Meitei Khemchand Singh or Yumnam Khemchand Singh is the new chief minister, a Meitei like Biren Singh was in the past. Most of the chief ministers in Manipur have been Meitei. There's just been the odd one who was a tribal. I used to know Rishan Kishing in early 80s. He was a Naga from Ukhrul. He was a Tangkhul Naga. But generally, the chief minister has been a Meitei simply because Meiteis are about 50% or maybe just over 50% of Manipur's population. Meitei Khemchand Singh, therefore, Yumnam Khemchand Singh is the new chief minister. He's a two-term MLA, former cabinet minister. Under him, however, two deputy chief ministers have been sworn in. And once again, the clutter lies in the identities of these three. If the chief minister is a Meitei, then the first deputy chief minister, there's no ranking of first and second. One is not above the other. I'm just listing them like that. So first of all, since you have a choice, the first deputy chief minister is a woman, that is Nemcha Kipgen. She is a Kuki. She is a Kuki and two-term MLA from Kangpokpi. If you've been following the Manipur story, and you know what, let me tell you something, the chances are that many of us, when I don't want to say many of you, I would say many of us, not individually me or Moushumi. We have to keep following the Manipur story because it's our job and responsibility as journalists. As Indian citizens, however, we cannot treat such a vital part of the country in a manner that's out of sight, out of mind. If you are a regular reader and watcher of The Print, then you've obviously seen it. Nevertheless, just to remind you that Sagrika Kissu and Praveen Jain, our national photo editor, they've been traveling in Manipur and they've done a series of stellar stories. Some of those you will see on your screen as I am speaking to you. So Kank Pokpi, if you've been following the Manipur story even to the extent of 10%, you could not have missed that name because that's been a deeply troubled area. That is kind of a borderline between the Meitei plains, the valley, and also where the hills begin, the tribal regions begin. The first Chief Minister, Khemchand Singh Kuki, 60 years old, is two-term MLA from Kangpokpi. It is from this Kangpokpi that Khemchand Singh, new Deputy Chief Minister, comes. She's 60 years old and two-term MLA. Her husband, by the way, is Semingthang Kipgen, who is the head of an organization called UPF or United People's Front, which is a conglomeration of 7 to 8 Kuki underground groups, Kuki armed underground groups who have signed suspension of operations with the central government and thereby are not supposedly not carrying out insurgent activity now. And that suspension of operations itself has been a polarizing issue because the Meiteis, the popular view among the Meiteis is that has allowed the Kukis to keep substantive firepower and that should be taken away. So suspension of operations should be withdrawn and central forces, armed forces should be unleashed on armed Kukis. In fact, that was also the justification that Meitei groups used for looting weapons from government armories, police and armed police armories. The other Deputy Chief Minister, again to bring about that ethnic balance, the other Deputy Chief Minister is Loishi Dikho. Loishi Dikho is a Naga from Naga People's Front. It's a regional party. Loishi Dikho is not a Tangkhul Naga from Ukhrul, which is the largest group among the Nagas in Manipur. He is a Mao Naga from Senapati area. Senapati is a beautiful district that falls on the highway between Kohima and Imphal. Unfortunately, that highway very often does not function because of blockades and because people of different communities are afraid of going there. He's a Naga from Senapati area from the Mao tribe. These three are the key people. Then some ministers have all been sworn in. Now on the 3rd of February, BJP and NDA MLAs met not in the assembly or not in any other building in Imphal but in New Delhi. The important point is that when Khemchand went to Imphal to meet the governor to stake his claim, saying, I've been elected by my party or my coalition and I have a majority, he was accompanied by 2 Kuki MLAs. That's very important because since the troubles broke out, that awful violence broke out in 2023, on May 3, 2023, Kuki politicians and Meitei politicians have not been seen together. In fact, their being together itself is something that triggers public opinion in tribal areas, and that's precisely what's happened. That's why we are seeing these protests there. Again, to understand how complicated the situation is, Khemchand Singh, by the way, she's also the first Kuki to be Deputy CM and also the first woman to be Deputy CM in Manipur. She took her oath of office not in Imphal, but she took it remotely from New Delhi because she still doesn't feel safe going to Imphal as a Kuki. This situation, however, is not yet settling down. As I told you, this is a first step. It's a modest but important first step in that direction. For example, when the assembly met in Imphal, all 10 Kukis and Zo groups are linked tribes. None of the 10 MLAs, which includes 7 MLAs from BJP, they were present in the assembly on Thursday. Many of them say they don't feel safe in Imphal, and the protests have broken out in hill districts, Churachandpur, Tengdupal, Chandel, all the non-Naga hill districts, because people there say these are spontaneous protests people say that they've been particularly let down by three Kuki-Zo MLAs. The first, LM Khaute, is a Wi-Fi, and Norsanglut Senate, the second one, is a Mar. They're both members of the larger Zo groups, Kuki-Zo groups. And the first, of course, is Deputy Chief Minister Nemcha Kipgen. The protests are that you've agreed to join this government without fulfillment of our basic demand that there should be written assurance from the center that an autonomous union territory of Kuki people will be set up with its own legislature. The Manipur problem, therefore, is far from over. In fact, at this point, Kuki-Zo groups on the ground are talking about socially boycotting their MLAs. I know that it raises many questions. Rather than me trying to answer them from a distance, let me now call in Moushumi Das Gupta, who's been tracking this story very closely. Thank you for joining in, Moushumi, and thank you particularly for staying back so late on a Friday evening. It's past 9 o'clock on Friday, and I get caught up on Fridays because I write national interest, you know that. So once again, thank you. But we needed you because only you can answer the questions that I have and the questions that I'm sure all our viewers have. I will list 5 questions for you. The first is, why do you think the current arrangement looks fragile? That's what you've been saying. Number 2, how far is the current situation now from return of political normalcy? I will repeat that. Number 3, does this mean the ethnic rupture is healing? I'm not saying healed, is healing. Number 4, what are the prospects of peace on the ground? We are seeing these protests. And number 5, do you think dividing lines between ethnicities will go at some point soon? So the first question, why do you think the current situation is fragile? And why do you think was the government in such a rush to do this now? What was the compulsion?
So I'll answer the second question first. So the government was in a hurry because first there was a lot of pushback from the Meitei BJP MLAs, mostly Meitei MLAs, to form the government because the present term of this government is ending next year, February 2027, when Manipur goes to elections again. So they have a very limited time, and right now on the ground, most of these BJP MLAs, they know that they are not very popular there since the violence, how the government has handled the whole situation. So their thing was that, if you form the government, because BJP is already in a majority there, so they will have some time, 9 months, to kind of, bridge the gap, do something.
Because if the government wanted and they were really left no choice, then this 1-year restriction that president's rule can't go beyond 1 year, that could have been extended. They have majority in parliament. President was not going to say no to them. So what were the issues, challenges with not extending it?
So the president's rule, the 1-year term of the president rule was ending on 13th February. So if the government would have gone ahead and extended it, that would have been a kind of loss of face for the BJP because after 1 year, if president rule has to be extended under Article 356 of the Constitution, there has to be 2 conditions. One, that the state is in an there is an emergency situation, emergency-like situation in the state, and second, the election commissioner has to certify that the situation on the ground is not conducive to hold election. So both of them would have gone against the BJP, which has been saying that in Manipur now, normalcy is back and the situation on the ground is good, violence has receded. So that would have been a kind of loss of face if you have extended.
Also would have been a national loss of face.
National loss of face.
Because these situations, this sort of non-ending extensions of president's rule is what we've seen in the worst times in Punjab, in Jammu and Kashmir, in Assam also. But for this to now happen in 2026 in India, in a northeastern state, would have been a big letdown for India as well. So this has started. Now the second question, how far are we from political normalcy? This is the first step to political normalcy. There is a government.
Yeah. So that's the good step because, that shows that this political vacuum that existed, that has ended now. But having said that, the government that has been sworn in is very fragile because you have apart from the chief minister Yumnam Khemchand Singh, he is by the way the 13th chief minister of Manipur. So you have come out with a formula where you have two deputy CMs, one from Kuki and one from the Naga community. You have already mentioned that. And the idea is to have some kind of ethnic balance because the Meiteis and Kukis, the ethnic conflict was between these two communities. So, the central BJP leadership wanted to, have some kind of a
rapprochement.
And some kind of ethnic balance and political inclusivity. But by including these three, what has happened is that the Kukizo community in the hill districts, so there is a big pushback from there, and the Kukizo Council, which is the apex body representing the Kukizo in the hill district, as you explained, they have socially boycotted these three MLAs for going back on their word.
The three who got sworn in.
Yeah.
We come to our third question. Does this mean the ethnic rupture is healing or is it getting worse?
If you look at the, the fact that you have brought in three Kuki MLAs in the government.
So two of them accompanied Khemchand to Raj Bhavan, or sorry, what's called as Lok Bhavan now.
Yeah, and the fact, and this was the first time after the ethnic violence erupted in Manipur in 2023 that Kuki MLAs were going to Imphal, went to Imphal because since then all the 10 Kukizo MLAs have been in the hill districts only. If they have to travel to Delhi also, they go via Dimapur or Guwahati. None of them come to Imphal airport.
So in the wound now, in the rupture, do you think it's like the first stitch, maybe another 80 stitches need to be put?
Yeah, so it's the first step that they have made by including the Kukizo MLAs in the government, but they still have a long way to go because reconciliation and bridging the gap between the two communities is yet to happen. During the one-year president's rule also, not much was done. No dialogue had happened between the people of the two communities.
And we just saw this horrible case also where a Meitei partnered to a Kuki was murdered.
Yeah. So this this Meitei man had gone to visit his partner in Churachandpur, and his partner was a Kuki, and some insurgent groups kidnapped both of them and killed this Meitei man. So it shows that how fragile and that the tensions are still, the fault lines are still strong. So you need to bridge that gap. There has to be reconciliation, and without that, the government will continue to be very fragile because real political inclusiveness has not happened.
Yeah. So question 4, what are the prospects of peace on the ground? Do you think it will still be a militarized zone in a way for a long time, or do you think slowly some sort of normalcy can come in?
Complete normalcy and complete normalcy can come in the state in a long run, but of course the beginning has been made, and if you see in the last 1.5 years, violence has receded. It has not gone. There have been sporadic incidents, but by and large, violence has receded. Even if you see this recent incident where this Meitei man was killed, there has been a lot of restraint because there was not much.
No reprisals.
Yeah, no reprisal. So that shows that the security forces there have been able to kind of manage the situation. So things are improving, but you still have a long way to go before complete normalcy comes, and also before the Meiteis and Kukis start living like they used to do before May 2023.
So 5th and the last question, which actually draws from the 4th. When do you see the dividing lines going? Because right now the state is divided. This is Kuki area, this is Meitei area. You don't go one from the other. It's like having a line of control between them, which the armed forces maintain. When do you see these lines within our country, these dividing lines going?
now that a government has been formed and you have, it has representation from the Kuki community also, though there is a social boycott and all. But let's hope that once the political leadership is there in place, so they would take steps to ensure that, both the communities start, at least the dialogue starts between both the communities. Uh, Again, it's very fragile because the Kuki MLAs, the assembly started, Manipur assembly started after the CM took oath, but all the 10 Kuki MLAs are missing from the assembly
I said
in
that.
Imphal.
I said that earlier, so repetitive ho jayega.
Okay. So the situation continues to be fragile because both the Meiteis and Kukis even now have confined themselves to their areas. The Meiteis living in the valley, the Kukis living in the hill district. Even the National Highway 2, which connects Imphal to Dimapur, despite the fact that the Home Ministry, Union Home Ministry, in a meeting with the underground groups who are part of suspension of operation agreement, they decided that NH2 would be open. But if you go on the ground, like we visited Manipur late last year in September, we found that both the Meiteis and Kukis have kept away from each other's area. I mean, for instance, in NH2, from Kangpokpi to Imphal, you won't see any Kukis or traveling there. And similarly, in the areas which fall in the Kuki territory, you won't find any Meitei traveling there. So the bridge continues, I mean, the gap is there, the divide is still there, it's very much real. And maybe the political establishment can take one step at a time and start dialogue first between the two communities. And one step would be if all these 10 Kukis or MLAs can come to Imphal and attend the assembly. That would be a very big messaging.
But in any case, this is a first step, a small step, but a step forward. But maybe 99 more need to be taken. A beginning has to be made at some point of time, which has happened now. Just for clarity, National Highway 2, which connects Imphal with Dimapur, goes past Kohima, the capital of Nagaland as well.